When air enters the alveoli, oxygen dissolves in the moisture on their inner surface and then diffuses across a thin capillary walls into the blood. Capillary walls are made up only of one cell thick. So oxygen diffuses in this direction because the oxygen concentration is greater in the alveoli than it is in the blood. While carbon dioxide diffuses from blood into the alveoli because its concentration is greater in the blood than it is in the air in the alveoli. How are gases transported throughout the body? Diffusion of gases from alveoli into capillaries is a passive process that stops when oxygen concentration in the blood and alveoli is the same. Hemoglobin is a protein which actively binds to dissolved oxygen, removing it from plasma and enabling diffusion from the alveoli to continue. Hemoglobin binds with so much oxygen that it increases blood's oxygen carrying capacity more than 60 times. When carbon dioxide diffuses from body tissues to capillaries, most of it enters the red blood cells and combines with water, forming carbonic acid. The rest of it dissolves in plasma or binds to hemoglobin and proteins in plasma. These processes are reversed in the lungs, where carbon dioxide is released into alveoli and exhaled. What mechanisms are involved in breathing? Movements of the diaphragm and rib cage change air pressure in the chest cavity during the inhalation and exhalation process. In inhalation process, the lungs are sealed in two sacs called pleural membranes inside the chest cavity. At the bottom of the chest cavity is a large dome-shaped muscle known as diaphragm. When you inhale, the diaphragm contracts and flattens. Muscles between the ribs also contract, raising the rib cage. These actions increase the volume of the chest cavity and create a partial vacuum inside the cavity. Atmospheric pressure fills the lungs as air rushes into the breathing passages. During exhalation, both the rib cage and the diaphragm relax, decreasing the volume of the chest cavity and making air pressure in the chest cavity greater than atmospheric pressure. Then air rushes back into the lungs or out of the lungs. Exhalation is usually a passive process, but to blow out a candle, speak, sing, or yell, you need more force than passive exhalation provides. The extra force is provided by the muscles between the ribs and abdominal muscles, which contract vigorously as the diaphragm relaxes. Breathing works only because the chest cavity is sealed. If a wound punctures the chest, even if it does not affect the lungs directly, air may leak into the chest cavity and make breathing impossible. This is one reason chest wounds are always serious. You have some conscious control over your breathing. When you swim or play an instrument, for example, but breathing is not purely voluntary. Your nervous system has final control of your breathing muscles, whether you are conscious or not. Now, what part of the brain initiates breathing? Breathing is initiated by the breathing center in the part of the brainstem called the medulla oblongata. What happens here? The sensory neurons in or near the medulla and in some large blood vessels gather the information about carbon dioxide levels in the body and send information to the breathing center. When stimulated, the breathing center sends nerve impulses that cause the diaphragm and chest muscles to contract, bringing air into the lungs. Now, how does smoking affect the respiratory system? Chemicals in tobacco smoke damage structures throughout the respiratory system and have other negative health effects too. So what are the three dangerous substances found in tobacco? The three most dangerous substances in tobacco smoke are nicotine, carbon monoxide, and tar. Now, what are these three substances? Nicotine is an addictive stimulant that increases heart rate and blood pressure, while carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas that blocks hemoglobin from binding with oxygen, thus interfering with oxygen transport in blood. And tar contains at least 60 compounds known to cause cancer. Another effect of tobacco smoke is that it paralyzes the cilia in the trachea or trachea, allowing inhaled particles to stick to the walls of the respiratory tract or enter the lungs, and smoke-laden mucus to become trapped along airways. This irritation from accumulated particles and mucus triggers a cough to clear the airways. Smoking also causes the lining of the respiratory tract to swell, which reduces airflow to the alveoli. Smoking can also cause disease. Damage to the respiratory system from smoking can become permanent and lead to diseases such as chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and lung cancer. Smoking reduces also life expectancy, and only 30% of male smokers live to age 80, but 55% of male non-smokers live to that age. What is chronic bronchitis? In chronic bronchitis, the bronchi become inflamed and clogged with mucus. Smoking even a moderate number of cigarettes on a regular basis can produce chronic bronchitis. Affected people often find activities like climbing stairs difficult. Treatments can control symptoms, but there is no cure. Another disease caused by smoking is emphysema. Long-term smoking can lead to emphysema, which is the loss of elasticity and eventual breakdown of lung tissue. People with emphysema cannot get enough oxygen or cannot get enough oxygen to the body tissues or rid the body of excess carbon dioxide. There is no cure for emphysema as well, but it can be treated with medication, whereas chronic bronchitis cannot be treated. Lung cancer is particularly deadly because by the time it is detected, it usually has spread to other areas of the body. Few people diagnosed with lung cancer live more than 5 years. About 87% of lung cancer deaths are due to smoking. Smoking can also affect the circulatory system. It raises blood pressure by constricting blood vessels, which forces the heart to work harder to deliver enough oxygen. Non-smokers are also exposed to secondhand smoke and are also at greater risk for respiratory and circulatory system disease. In the figure, you have there how secondhand smoke affects the body, or others, or non-smokers. They expose people to cancer-causing chemicals. They also aggravate the asthma, increases incidence of ear infections, causes sticky platelets and damaged blood vessels. It causes up to 70,000 deaths from heart disease each year. Studies indicate that children of smokers are twice as likely to develop asthma or other respiratory problems. Pregnant women who smoke place their babies also at risk for many complications. Whatever is the age of a smoker, and no matter how long that person has smoked, his or her health can be improved by quitting. So nicotine is a powerful drug, and we all know it's very addictive. It makes it very difficult to quit smoking. So the best solution is not to start smoking. So that's it for this lesson. Let us now move on to the lesson summary. Structures of the respiratory system. For organisms, respiration means the process of gas exchange between a body and the environment. The human respiratory system picks up oxygen from the air we inhale and releases carbon dioxide into the air we exhale. The structures of the respiratory system includes the following: the nose, where the air is filtered, moistened, and warmed; the pharynx or throat, which serves as a passageway for both air and food; trachea, or the windpipe; and the larynx or vocal cords. The bronchi, two large tubes that lead to the lungs. Each bronchus branches into smaller passageways called bronchioles that end in tiny air sacs called alveoli within the lung. How does gas exchange and transport occur? Oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged across the walls of alveoli and capillaries. Chemical properties of blood and red blood cells allow for efficient transport of gases throughout the body. Carbon dioxide and oxygen are exchanged across capillary and alveolus walls. Hemoglobin binds with the transports oxygen that diffuses from alveoli to capillaries. It also increases the efficiency of gas exchange. Carbon dioxide is transported in the blood in three ways. Most combines with water and forms carbonic acid. Some dissolves in plasma. Some binds to hemoglobin and proteins in plasma. Breathing is the movements of the diaphragm and rib cage that changes air pressure in the chest cavity during inhalation and exhalation. The dome-shaped muscles at the bottom of the chest cavity is called the diaphragm, and during the inhalation, contraction of the diaphragm and rib cage or rib muscles increases chest volume and air rushes in. In exhalation process, these muscles relax and air rushes out. The nervous system has finally control of the breathing muscles. Breathing does not require conscious control. Let us answer some lesson check questions. Number 1. Explain the function of the respiratory system. The answer would be, it takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. Let's try number 2 question. Describe the process of gas exchange in the lungs. What do you think is the answer? The answer is, oxygen diffuses from air in alveoli to blood cells. Carbon dioxide diffuses from blood to air in alveoli. Number 3 question. Explain the process of breathing. The answer is, the diaphragm contracts and the rib cage rises, increasing the size of the chest cavity and drawing air into the lungs. Then the rib cage and diaphragm relaxes, the volume of the chest cavity decreases, and air is pushed out of the lungs. Last question. People with emphysema cannot exhale as much carbon dioxide as people with healthy lungs can. Why do you think this leaves them short of a breath? The possible answer is, if too much carbon dioxide remains in the alveoli, then the body cannot inhale enough oxygen to meet its needs. So that's it for this lesson. Thank you guys and have a nice day.